Listen up, because what I'm about to tell you might just shake up the entire WNBA. The Indiana Fever are sitting on a powder keg of roster decisions that could either launch them into a dynasty or blow up spectacularly in their faces. And at the center of it all, the drama surrounding Caitlin Clark's teammates is reaching a boiling point that nobody's talking about. If you're a true Fever fan, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because what's happening behind closed doors in Indianapolis is about to change everything. Here's the thing. While everyone's focused on Caitlin Clark's injury updates, there's a civil war brewing in that locker room about who deserves to stay and who needs to pack their bags. And trust me, some of the names on the chopping block are going to shock you. Let's start with the elephant in the room, Sydney Colson. Yeah, I said it. The 35-year-old veteran who's been riding the bench more than a rodeo cowboy. Look, I get it. She's supposed to be this locker room presence, this mentor figure, but here's the brutal truth nobody wants to admit. When you're paying someone veteran money to basically be a cheerleader in street clothes, you're wasting a roster spot that could go to someone who can actually help Caitlin Clark win championships. And before you come at me in the comments, let me ask you this. When was the last time Sydney Colson made a game-changing play? When was the last time she stepped up when it mattered? I'll wait. The silence is deafening, isn't it? But here's where it gets spicy. Sophie Cunningham, the blonde bomber who's become Caitlin Clark's personal bodyguard, she's changing the entire dynamic of this team. Remember that game against Connecticut when she literally got ejected defending Clark? That's the energy this team was missing. That's what champions are made of. Sophie didn't just come to Indianapolis to shoot threes. She came to send a message. Nobody touches Caitlin Clark on her watch. And let me tell you, whoa, the league noticed. Suddenly, teams aren't taking those cheap shots at Clark anymore. Suddenly, there's consequences. That's what having an enforcer does. It creates space for your superstar to breathe. Now, let's talk about the shocking addition nobody saw coming. Chloe Bibby, a 7-day contract that might just turn into something much bigger. While everyone's panicking about Clark's groin injury, and yes, we'll get to that disaster in a minute, the Fever quietly snagged a stretch 4 who could be the missing piece. Think about it. You've got Aliyah Boston dominating the paint, Caitlin Clark orchestrating from the perimeter, and now you add Bibby who can stretch the floor. That's a nightmare matchup for any team. But here's the kicker. They had to make room for her. And guess who's on the hot seat? Bree Turner. Oh boy, where do I even start with Bree Turner? The fact that she's still on this roster tells me there's something going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. Maybe she's got dirt on somebody. Maybe she's got compromising photos from the team Christmas party. I don't know. But what I do know is that she's taking up valuable real estate on a team that's trying to win now. Let's be real for a second. When you've got generational talent like Caitlin Clark, you can't afford to waste roster spots on players who contribute nothing. Every spot matters. Every decision counts. And keeping Turner around is like bringing a butter knife to a gunfight. But wait, it gets juicier. Natasha Howard, the 6'3" forward who's supposed to be this veteran presence. Let me paint you a picture of her performance against Chicago. It was so bad I thought she was playing for the other team. Missed layups, blown defensive assignments, and don't even get me started on her body language. When your veteran players are moping around like they'd rather be anywhere else, that's a cancer in the locker room. And here's what nobody's talking about, the Kelsey Mitchell situation. Free agency is looming and she wants max money. Max money. Now, don't get me wrong, Mitchell can score. But when you've got Caitlin Clark running the show, do you really need another ball-dominant guard eating up your salary cap? I'm going to say something controversial here, and I want you to really think about it before you rage in the comments. The Fever might be better off letting Mitchell walk. There, I said it. When you've got Clark and Aliyah Boston as your core, you need role players who know their place, not another star who needs touches. Speaking of Aliyah Boston, this is the untouchable one. The 1-2 punch of Clark and Boston is potentially the best guard-center combo in the league. That pick and roll, unstoppable. That chemistry, off the charts. You build around these two, period. Everyone else is expendable. Now let's address the Caitlin Clark injury situation because it's directly tied to these roster moves. Multiple injuries in her second season? That's concerning. But you know what's more concerning? The fact that it took Sophie Cunningham getting ejected for defending her before teams stopped taking liberties with Clark's health. This is where having the right teammates matters. Lexi Hull, keeper. Why? Because she plays defense like her life depends on it and doesn't need the ball to be effective. That's what you want around Clark. Players who complement, not compete. Ari McDonald, this one's tricky. She showed flashes when Clark was out, but can she accept being a backup? Can she thrive in limited minutes? If yes, keep her. If she's going to pout about playing time, ship her out. No room for egos when you're building a dynasty. But here's the crown jewel that everyone's sleeping on. Mikayla Timpson. Raw? Yes. Athletic freak? Absolutely. This is the kind of player you develop alongside your stars. She's giving you double figures in 14 minutes. 14 minutes. Imagine what she does with starters minutes next to Clark in Boston. The writing's on the wall, people. Stephanie White isn't messing around. She's got a vision, and that vision doesn't include carrying dead weight. The purge is coming, and it's going to be brutal. Let me break down who survives the cut. Caitlin Clark? Obviously. Aliyah Boston? No question. Sophie Cunningham? The enforcer. Lexi Hull, the defensive specialist. Mikayla Timpson, the future. Chloe Bibby, if she proves herself. Ari McDonald, maybe. Who's gone? Sydney Colson, pack your bags. Bree Turner, don't let the door hit you. Natasha Howard, thanks for nothing. Damiris Dantas, it's been real. Kelsey Mitchell, depends on if she wants to be part of something special or chase a bigger paycheck elsewhere. And here's the thing that should terrify the rest of the league. This is just the beginning. The Fever have cap space, draft picks, and the most marketable player in the sport. Free agents are going to be lining up to play with Caitlin Clark. Veterans looking for rings are going to take discounts to come to Indianapolis. But they can only do this if they're ruthless about cutting the dead weight. No more charity cases, no more locker room presence players who can actually play, no more washed veterans collecting paychecks. The blueprint is clear. Surround Clark and Boston with shooters, defenders, and players who know their roles. Sophie Cunningham gets it. She didn't come here to be a star. She came here to protect the star and hit open shots. That's championship mentality. You want to know why Golden State dominated for years? They had role players who embraced their roles. You want to know why super teams fail? Too many egos, not enough sacrifice. The Fever are at a crossroads. They can either be bold and make the tough decisions, or they can be sentimental and waste Caitlin Clark's prime years. And if they choose the latter, they deserve every loss that comes their way. Because here's the cold, hard truth. Windows in professional sports are smaller than you think. One day, you're the young team on the rise. The next day, your star is dealing with recurring injuries and you're scrambling to stay relevant. The time is now. The decisions are clear. Keep the players who make Caitlin Clark better. Get rid of everyone else. It's that simple. Sophie Cunningham showing up and immediately declaring herself Clark's protector, that's the energy this team needs. Players who understand that this is Clark's team and everyone else is here to support that vision. You know what's beautiful about this whole situation? The contrast between the old guard and the new blood. The old guard wants minutes, touches, recognition. The new blood just wants to win. Sophie Cunningham could have stayed in Phoenix, been a bigger fish in a smaller pond. Instead, she chose to come here and be Clark's enforcer because she sees the bigger picture. That's the difference between winners and everyone else. Winners understand that sometimes the best thing you can do is play your role perfectly. Losers want to be the star even when they're not good enough. And let's be brutally honest about some of these players. Dantas had her chance. Multiple chances, actually. What has she shown? Inconsistency, declining athleticism, and an inability to adapt to the modern game. In a league that's getting younger and faster, she's yesterday's news. The same goes for Natasha Howard. Remember when she was an all-star? That feels like a lifetime ago. Now she's just taking up space and probably complaining about her role behind closed doors. That's poison for a young team trying to establish a winning culture. But here's what excites me about the future. Imagine this lineup. Caitlin Clark running point, Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hull on the wings providing shooting and defense, Mikayla Timpson at the 4 with her athleticism, and Aliyah Boston anchoring the middle. That's a starting 5 that can compete with anyone. Off the bench, Chloe Bibby providing scoring punch, Ari McDonald as a change of pace guard, and whatever young talent they can develop or acquire. That's a rotation built for the modern WNBA. No passengers, no politics, just players who can contribute to winning basketball. And here's the kicker. This roster construction protects Caitlin Clark. When you surround her with defenders like Cunningham and Hull, teams can't just hunt her on every possession. When you have athletic bigs like Timpson and Boston, guards can't just drive past Clark without consequences. This isn't just about talent. It's about fit. It's about building something sustainable. It's about creating an environment where Caitlin Clark can thrive for the next decade. Because make no mistake, if the Fever screw this up, if they hold on to sentimental favorites instead of making the hard choices, Caitlin Clark will leave. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next year, but eventually. And when that happens, this franchise goes back to irrelevance. The clock is ticking. Every game with a wasted roster spot is a game closer to Clark questioning her future in Indianapolis. Every minute Sydney Colson or Bree Turner plays is a minute stolen from player development. Sophie Cunningham gets it. From day one, she understood the assignment. Protect Clark, hit open shots, bring energy, create a winning culture. That's why she's untouchable. That's why she's already a fan favorite. The bottom line, the Indiana Fever have a chance to build something special, but only if they're willing to be ruthless. Only if they're willing to hurt some feelings. Only if they're willing to admit that not everyone currently wearing a Fever jersey deserves to be there. The purge is coming, and it can't come soon enough, because every day they wait is another day wasted in the Caitlin Clark era. And in professional sports, you don't get those days back. So, what do you think? Who stays and who goes? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more exclusive Fever content. The revolution is coming to Indianapolis, and you don't want to miss it.